She's not a kindergartner.
I'd like to call the meeting to order.
On the bus.
But we got on like,
Oh my God. Oh, those are nice.
do Pledge of Allegiance. For those who'd like to join me, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On July 7th, our community suffered a devastating loss of Stafford and Rutland High School class of 21 graduate Jessica Ebenhausen. Jessica was 3 weeks into her career as a police officer for the city of Rutland. Being a police officer was the career Jessie knew was her destiny at the young age of 9. On the afternoon of July 7th, Jessie's life tragically ended at the young age of 19 in the line of duty protecting the city she loved. Can we please take a moment of silence to honor Jessica Ebenhausen for her bravery and sacrifice that will never be forgotten? Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. I'd like to note for Betty that Charlene is absent and Mary Beth will be here. She's arriving shortly. I'd like to share our board norms. Debate, commentary, and discussion are healthy and open. Listening and speaking are equally important, and both should be done with respect and consideration. Focus is on students and our schools, not politics. I have an addendum for the consent agenda. It includes some additional staff and an additional staff member and 2 retirements. Could I have a motion to include it in the consent agenda?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. May I have a motion to consider the consent agenda? Oh,
I would like to pull something out of the consent agenda if possible.
we have to have a motion to bring it to the table,
Okay.
and then you can, so if you want.
Can I make the motion to bring it to the table and then the motion to,
Yes.
okay.
So,
So motion to bring the
Consider-
consent agenda up for a vote?
may I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
So, item C, the Stafford Technical Center VACTED Consortium Agreement. I just have some questions about that. So if we could pull that out to discuss at some point,
Okay.
I would appreciate that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So, could I have a motion to accept the consent agenda without item C?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So let's move to public input. Anyone? No? Okay. So Kevin, do you want to, I guess we'll bring the, could I have a motion to consider the Stafford Technical Center fiscal year 23 VACTED Consortium Agreement?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
So, may I? Okay.
Please.
So, I'm sure I've approved this before. I just looked at it this time and I thought, I don't really understand. There we go. All right. So I'd just like sort of an overview of how this fits into, like, Life, the World, and Everything in Stafford.
Absolutely.
Specifically, I have a question about the part where it says, said parties agree to pay invoices to the fiscal agent on a net 15 basis.
So as part of our Perkins grant, we have a certain amount that we are required to allot by the state statute to pay for our teacher prep program, because as you know, our teachers go through an alternative teacher prep program. So there is that. It's called what's a pooling of funds. So in order for us to pay that, we have to authorize Orange Southwest, who is the chosen district to basically hold all of the money for any VACTED, which is the Vermont Association of Career and Tech Ed Directors, who oversees this. So it authorizes them to bill us for our portion, which is based on a formula, based on poverty levels and whatnot, of what we owe for that each year.
Okay,
So that's what it is.
good, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Do you have any other questions?
Oh, what was the net 15 basis? Is that the,
It's just
Formula
within 15 days of receiving the invoice.
oh, okay,
Make payment.
okay,
Yeah.
all right. Do we need to approve that now? Can I make a motion that we approve the, whatever it's called? Stafford Technical Center fiscal year '23 VACTED Consortium Agreement?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries.
Thank you.
Moving on to our school and program updates, our student rep reports.
Rutland Middle School's summer school program was successful. We served 25 eighth graders in 2 sessions. We will continue to look for alternative ways to meet our students' needs throughout the year. Our counselors will be working with students to enhance our advisory curriculum. We are very excited to start the Student Advisory Board. We will be bringing our students to Lake Dunmore on Friday, September 8th for a school-wide community building day. Students hike, paint, read, and play games as they get to know their advisors and the members of their houses. This year's Allen Street Campus Summer Program focused on local history and outdoor learning adventures. While learning about Vermont's history, students had enriching and enjoyable experiences like climbing outdoors, biking on local trails, and visiting state parks. Incorporating local history into outdoor adventures is a great way to make learning engaging and relevant. Everyone is excited about the upcoming school year and seeing those smiling faces tomorrow. The combination of experimental learning, physical activities, and a positive outlook bodes well for a successful and enjoyable school year ahead. We look forward to seeing all students and families at our annual back-to-school barbecue on September 28th from 4 to 6 p.m. Stafford is excited to welcome over 260 students this year starting tomorrow. Students will stay in their program areas for the first 3 days as they work to build community with their group. With students coming from 11 different partner high schools, this is an important practice to ensure a successful experience. We will have an all-school welcome assembly on Thursday at 10:30 a.m. in the theater, and will welcome families for our annual back-to-school night and barbecue on Thursday, September 14th. Tomorrow, RHS welcomes the incoming class of 2027 for freshman orientation. On Thursday, grades 9 through 12 will arrive for their first day of school. The sports season is well underway, and the first games are taking place this week, with a full slate of events this weekend.
RIS had a well-attended, fun-filled back-to-school barbecue on Monday to welcome our students to the new school year. The excitement was palpable. It is not just the staff that is ready to welcome our students. Our building is looking better than ever. Our maintenance department was extremely busy and heavily focused on RIS this summer. From a completely renovated auditorium to all new flooring, to a redesign of shared community learning space, we are ready to go. Watch for the family handbook to come home along with what we like to call parent homework. If you have additional questions, please contact your child's teacher or the main office. The team at Northeast Primary School is excited for the new school year ahead. We spend our summer supporting students and hosted the kindergarten readiness program for both Northeast and Northwest students, as well as hosting the RIS and Northeast extended school year programs. Several of our teachers provided summer tutoring opportunities for students, and several team members also continued the collaborative AGV K-12 curriculum work early this summer. We greatly appreciate the work of all of our educators. This summer also brought about several school-wide projects and repairs in the form of driveway repair, roof repair work, and carpet removal. We are so grateful for the hard work of our maintenance and custodial departments. Northeast welcomes its newest core of kindergartners in the class of 2036, and we are excited to welcome our returning and new first and second grade students and families. Kindergarten orientation is happening on Wednesday, August 30th, and Thursday, August 31st. Families are encouraged to attend the family sessions with the school administration and support team members on August 30th at 9:15 a.m. and 12 p.m. to learn more about kindergarten learning and Northeast school-wide expectations. We are looking forward to kick off a great school year. It has been a busy summer at Northwest Primary School with our Tapestry program and lots of children filling the rooms. If you are interested in having your child join Tapestry during the school year, be on the lookout for the registration form this week. As the school year begins, there will be a lot of information shared with you. Please be sure to read through the materials and ask any questions. We highly encourage you to call the school if any questions arise. We believe that open communication is an important role in helping your child succeed. Currently, we have 57 new kindergarten faces joining Northwest. It is a scary time, primarily for families sending them off to school. We are here to make sure they have a smooth transition and develop a love for learning. We had kindergarten students join us on Monday and Tuesday for the Kinder Camp. These events give students a sneak peek before they begin their time at school on Wednesday.
Thank you. Thank you, Amaya. Thank you, Holden.
Kathy?
Yeah.
I would just like to echo, I think, what all of the principals and staff have said about our maintenance staff and how much extra they have put in during this past year. Not to mention the other little accident that was at the middle school. But I think that, with the ESSER money, there was a lot of extra work that we asked them to take on. And our schools and our students can only benefit from that work. So really appreciate it.
Step. Okay, do you want to give your update?
So I would like to echo what Karen, I actually had something planned to say, so she beat me to the punch.
Sorry.
So I was going to go it a little bit later in the thing. So just some stuff that highlighted that the principals did a good job, but there was some new roof over at Northwest, new roof over the gym, at Northwest. At Northeast, there was a new roof on the whole building. And the RIS, there was the complete renovation of the auditorium, which is absolutely stunning. Outdoor classrooms were started, just all sorts of other stuff, and I'll continue with some photos at our next meeting to kind of show in person for everybody to see all of the work that everybody has done through the school year, or the summer, but they did a lot of hard work and coordinating and all of the fun stuff, so thank you, Glenn, wherever you are in the room, and your staff.
Thank you. So moving on to our opening of school report.
Opening of school, we were going to have each of the principals come up and I think probably similar stuff to what you guys have just read, but to give a brief overview of what's happening with tomorrow and some of the upcoming events that are happening over the next couple of weeks. So I don't know where we can start. Should we start at the lowest grade or the highest grade?
Chrissy's in front.
Case
We should-
6, we're going to come up together. Is that
Oh,
right?
there you go.
We're just going to stand here. It's like super short.
You can sit.
You want me to sit?
Sure.
Okay. Let's sit. I'm Christy Kaluda, I'm the principal at Northwest.
Hello, everyone. Justine Rulin, principal at Northeast. Carrie Course, principal at the intermediate school.
All right, well, student reps, thank you for taking everything we wanted to say. So at Northwest, we are ready to go. We had Kinder Camp the last couple of days. We had about 28 to 30 students show up with their families, kindergarten students. Tonight they got to ride the bus around the block. That was a big deal. We went over the bus expectations. Some kids were crying because they didn't want to get off the bus. Some of the parents were crying because they were on the bus. It was really fun though. They're always super excited. We have open house coming on September 13th. There'll be more information out for the families like that. But I do encourage, if anybody ever wants to stop by the school, first day of school, any day, just come in, check it out. It's a great place to be for sure, and tomorrow just brings like a whole new level of excitement for kids. So please feel free to stop by for sure.
I also echo all of Christy's sentiments. Would love to have you come visit Northeast. We also did a Kinder Camp, and last night we did an art craft event where a lot of families came in, and created some artwork with their student, got to know some of our kindergarten teachers, meet the school nurse. It was a really great community event. Our open house this year is on September 21st. And I just wanted to highlight some of our exciting work around STEM. Really grateful for the partnership with Patricia Agner, and we have so many wonderful hands-on materials for our K-2 students. Every student in Northeast has access to Legos in their classrooms. We have Ozobots and Bbots, so we can teach our students how to understand coding, and then working with like Magnetiles and other hands-on manipulatives. So we're very excited. Would love to have you come visit so you could see that stuff in action.
I was going to end with that, but I guess I'll say we also, there's just so much happening already, and we would love to have you come in and see it. Our teachers have been working really hard preparing for everyone, and the in-service that we've had has been very productive. We've spent some time on restorative practices, and we can very proudly say that every single staff member in our building has at least had a level 1 training in restorative practices. So it just helps with our commitment to the practice, and it really sets a good tone and start to our school year. So we are ready. We start at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Breakfast will be a little different. We will be eating in our classroom still, but working with the kitchen, we're offering breakfast in the cafeteria so that students will have a choice instead of a bag. They'll get a hot lunch or a hot breakfast. That is a little bit of a change, but we're looking forward to that. From there, every student will go home with a handbook, as was shared. We really encourage everyone to read that, go through it with your families. And then there is a sign-off at the end that teachers will be collecting. So we're hoping to get all of those back, 100%. And then another change for this year, our dismissal is a little bit earlier. We're going to start announcements at 2:22. It's all been reflected in bus changes that have gone home. Everybody's got their letters. But once again, if anyone has any questions, do not hesitate to call. And as was mentioned, we had a very successful barbecue last night, back to school. We did have to move it inside due to the weather, which is typical for this summer, as I mentioned on the all call. But we had over, and as I told Bill and Rob, I'm not a good estimator, so I really took a poll, and I was right. We had over 300 people.
Great.
Wow.
It was huge, and everyone was smiling, and from staff, students, families, and it was just a really great way to start the school year. We are hoping for another great turnout at our open house, which is September 14th. We break it into like 3 little parts. From 5:30 to 6, it will be for grades 4 and 6. From 6 to 6:15 is meet with the administrators, and then 6:15 until 6:45 is grades 3 and 5. And just for anyone out there and all of you, if you have not liked our Facebook page, please do so. We have some pretty great pictures from our barbecue last night, and more to come as the year goes on. So,
Can I say something? Oh. So I actually, unfortunately, was not at Northwest, but I was at Northeast and RIS for the Welcome Back Nights, and they're just such great events. So I want to say kudos to the schools. For the kindergarten one, I think it's just such an awesome opportunity for the kids to kind of break the ice and step into the school and be like, okay, this isn't so scary, as opposed to like, here you go, figure it out. So it was really awesome to see the kids getting comfortable in that environment and having the opportunity to go back again today and ride the bus with them. Like, that was really cool. So great idea and great job, making it an easier transition. And then straight from there yesterday, I went to RIS, and that was like, the cafeteria was packed, the DJ was bumping, kids were doing karaoke. It was very high energy, but everyone was having fun. Like, every kid there, parents were dancing. So again, great event, well done. My kids went home tired. Well done.
thank you. It was fun.
shift to the upper grades.
Thank you. Good luck
So we'll
tomorrow.
shift to
Somebody has their hand up. I see you with your hand up, but I can't see you.
Hi, I'm Hilliard. I arrived during what I thought was the public comment period at about 6:12, and I assume that you folks may have already passed through that public comment period. I expected that there would be a remote option, and that's my fault for not being prepared. From my home in Pulteney at 5:40, I realized that it wasn't remote and drove here as quickly as I could. I'm wondering, can I give a short statement, or would that be impossible to do?
Could we finish with our reports from school?
Yes.
From the schools,
Absolutely.
principals, and then,
Yeah, that would be great, thank you.
okay, is that, okay?
Middle school next?
Middle school next.
All right, sounds good. Do I have any friends?
And I also just want to say welcome. Yes.
Gosh, nice, thank you. Oh, you guys come on up too, all right.
Look at all your friends. A lot of friends.
And that was fast, because you just got here. Didn't he just get here?
I'm Rob Becker, and I am the principal of Rutland Middle School.
Welcome.
Thank you. As Megan and I worked today to put together information for Holden to be able to share with you, we wanted to save a few things to share with you ourselves. As I reflected on the things that we're doing coming up on the year, it's a lot of learning. It's a lot of learning for me, for sure. But we have a few new staff members, and we're working hard to really have great processes in place and really welcome our students well. Summer school was a lot of fun. We had a good group of students that were there. It was a chance for me to meet some of the teachers and see the great things they're doing. We talked about STEM a little bit with primary schools. We had a STEM project that went on using VR headsets and 360 cameras and chronicling some information out of the cemetery. And we hope to be able to link up with the Rutland Historical Association and get some of those things posted to their website. So again, you know, all around the district, I think there's great STEM learning going on. We had some great stuff this summer. We do have a little project we're going to have the kids work on when they come back to school. We're putting in a drive-through in the front of the cafeteria. We thought we'd have the kids. No, not really.
Do they do
It's
that
already
upside down? Meeting the school district staff has been a great opportunity for me. I've felt very, very well supported here at Rutland. It's a refreshing school district to work for. And obviously, you know, this isn't my first school district, but I really have enjoyed my time here so far this year. During the summer, we've revised all of the handbooks, the faculty handbooks, the student handbooks, gone through and just fine-tuned all of it. We've released some of the new information to our students and certainly working with our staff on it. One of the big things we're addressing right straight up is cell phone use in our middle school, and so we're going to work really, really hard at that and try and get that under control at Rutland. Tomorrow we've got 7th grade coming, and I've decided to nominate myself as an honorary 7th grader because I'm transitioning into Rutland Middle School also. But I think that you know, we're going to have a lot of nervous students there tomorrow, but we've put a schedule together for them that is not the normal school day schedule. We've condensed classes, and we're really highly supporting those students as they come to us. And on Thursday, when all of our students arrive, our 7th graders will be leading the pack. They'll know exactly what's going on in school, and they can lead the 8th graders and make sure they're doing the right things. The last thing I have on my list is that we do have an open house, and next week Wednesday is our open house. We'd love to have you come to it. I don't know if we're going to have karaoke and parents dancing and things like that. We didn't talk about that.
We
but
can certainly add it.
But one of our real emphasis is that we want the parents to feel very welcome at our school. We want them to be able to come and enjoy themselves and just know that they're welcome to come at any point in time. So our open house is going to be really focused on helping our parents feel comfortable, know what their child is all about at school, and hopefully have a good time just like the other schools have had. So that's it for the middle school.
Thank you.
Thank you.
guess I'll go next. Stafford Tech, I'm Melissa Connor, the director. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what our staff has been doing to prepare. Last year, we really focused on the school wellness wheel. That was funded through the ESSER grant for us to do that, which focuses on mastery-based learning, culturally responsive instruction, and trauma-informed practices. So last year, we started a mindfulness practice that we practiced every day, staff and students. And we've recommitted to doing that again this year, and we're adding some new tools to help us with that. Our staff is really in the mastery-based learning, really focusing on re-examining our proficiency scales, and we call it tuning them to make sure that they are the rigor that we need them to be at industry standard. And then over the course of the year, we'll be matching assessments with those building assessments to make sure that it's getting our students to the industry level that they need for certifications and college readiness. And then today, we spent the entire day doing a mental health first aid. Rutland High School had done it last year and recommended it to us. And it's a free training that there's a grant for all Vermont schools in the state to do, and it's highly recommended. It was wonderful. It was really helpful for our staff, I think, to make sure, A, we're using the common language, and B, that we know the process and protocols within our building if we have a student in crisis or a staff member in crisis, to make sure everyone's on the same page. So it was really great for us to do that. Excited to welcome 3 new instructors as part of program expansions. We finally got an electrical instructor. Expanded our welding program and our engineering program, so that's really exciting. And if you have time, we welcome you to stop by. Our video communications classroom received a complete renovation. It does not even look like the same space, and it was done 100% in-house by our maintenance staff, so I just want to give them kudos. Downtown really took the lead on that, and it is just phenomenal. So it doesn't even look like a high school classroom. It's amazing, so it's pretty cool. So that's it for Stafford. Cool. I'll swap seats.
Here, just shuffle. Sorry, that could have been a lot simpler. So.
Friends are all leaving you.
Yeah, mine's really short, so I'll go first. Allenstown campus is starting our school year with a focus on high-quality instruction, academic data collection, and infusing the E9 curriculum into our units of study. We'll continue to engage our students in social emotional learning, experiential learning, and highly engaging activities that build resilience and focus. Our goal is to further improve student performance while increasing academic vigor in a therapeutic setting. With Portrait of a Graduate as a template, a new math curriculum, data tools, parent training sessions, and an amazing team of professionals, growth is guaranteed for our students. Our barbecue will be September 28th from 4 to 6. We'd love to see you there.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. We are excited to start the new year. As Holden mentioned, the freshmen will arrive tomorrow for their orientation, and grades 10 through 12 students arrive on Thursday for their first day of school. The day with freshmen tomorrow will include time spent with their advisories, a tour of the building, learning how to open their lockers, which is always interesting to watch, an abbreviated schedule for all of their classes so they know how to get from point A to point B, and then an abbreviated schedule of all of their classes, and then, of course, ice cream. We are looking forward to welcoming the class of 2027 tomorrow. We are continuing our focus this year on social and emotional learning. Advisors will lead students through a SEL curriculum in advisories, which address such topics as goal setting, managing stress, and positive peer relationships. In preparation this past week for the students' arrival, teachers have been hard at work during in-service days with specific emphasis on designing and codifying curriculum using the district-wide template, bringing all of that into alignment K to 12. Teams of teachers have been meeting daily to work on course curricula and to come to consensus on course content. Our open house is a little earlier this year. It is next week on Thursday, September 7th. Love to see you there. Well, invite you all. And as a faculty, we are excited for the new school year, and we're looking forward to meeting the new 9th graders tomorrow. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for any of the principals?
Is it,
Thank you.
not for the principals, but is it possible for like an email to go out to all of us with all of the dates of everybody's open house?
Sure thing, yeah, we can do
Just-
that.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I would like to say, I appreciate the open houses being on different days, because that is so
Very well
helpful.
done. Very well done.
It makes things so much easier.
Okay. Alex?
Thank you for your flexibility.
Well, welcome. I just want to note that typically we ask comments from the public be limited to 2 minutes, if it's possible.
Okay, I think it should be under there, but definitely stop me if it gets to be too long. My name is Alex Hilliard. I use they, them pronouns. I live in Pulteney, which is where my kids go to school, but my youngest child, Tyler, is going to daycare at 109 Gibson Ave in Rutland. And I came here today because there's the problem of bus stops, where she lives in the middle of the street, and depending on how old the kids are that are there, she might have ones that need to walk down to one corner or maybe to the other corner, but the problem is that the majority of kids that are in daycare are like infants and toddlers and not school-aged kids, and if you're standing on the sidewalk, you cannot see either corner. So it necessitates her getting the children ready and trudging down to the corner, which is not really realistic or fair, really, if there's snow or other conditions. Makes it, I mean, I can't imagine trying to get 6 toddlers into snow boots and snow pants and a jacket at like 7 o'clock in the morning. That sounds really painful. And I would say that the folks that are most impacted right now are in-home daycares compared to centers, because centers generally have more than one employee, so then they can have someone go down to the bus stop and somebody else stay there. But for those who are in-home daycare providers, they generally just have the one person. And from what I've seen, Vermont, but especially Rutland County, is really like a grandparents kind of friendly area where there are many multi-generational families, and there are many folks that are of the retiree age, so that there are many families that get to rely on grandparents caring for children while they go to work. But that is not obviously accessible for everyone. What you get is some families in some situations, like these subsidized child care situations, which slip through the cracks. My care provider only has 1 out of 5 possible stars. She's a pretty new provider, less than, I think, a year old, and you have to earn those stars over time. But our previous care system, which has 5 stars, is where my child was bitten by a dog back in June in Castleton, and it makes it so that care providers with more stars can charge more money for their care. They can have more of that care subsidized, and from there they can also be a little bit more choosy about which kids they want to have there, and they don't have to take on the inconvenient situations of older kids in those situations. The care provider in question that I'm referring to did try to remedy this last school year, but she was told that because there are sidewalks, that they don't really have to make stops on the middle of the street. And I personally drove a school bus for 2 years, so I understand the importance of having like a really tight shift. Everything goes minute to minute. And so I'm not asking that you folks suggest that the Rutland Public School make in-home daycares a stop on every single route. I would just ask that there is the consideration of a policy which makes it so that at the time that the operations manager or whoever it is that sets these routes, that they scrape the Bright Futures information system for in-home care providers, because you can see that they are updated extremely regularly, and to basically disseminate those across bus routes to say, okay, like you would have these houses if they needed it, and then there could be a system that was set up so that care providers were told like who their bus driver would be if they needed it, but that way that system could be activated so that they could switch to the route that picks up the kid, but that would only be necessary if there were children that needed that service. It would only require a couple of hours, probably more, of someone's time, and it's, I'm sure, not budgeted in there, but it would make a huge difference for those who are most impacted, which, if you're thinking about especially who's receiving subsidized care, it's most likely to be low-income families and BIPOC families and new American families. So, and most likely people who do not have grandparents that are there to help care for these kids. So I would just ask that the school board consider making that policy. I don't know if it's too late for this current school year, but I appreciate you folks being still willing to listen to my comment, even though you had already moved on with the agenda item, and it's probably more than 2 minutes, but again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you guys have questions, or should I just?
Just work.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's me.
Superintendent Wilson.
Okay, so a couple things I wanted to highlight today. One is I wanted to give an update on where we are with hiring. I think we mentioned that a little bit tonight already, but every time we do this, I always want to thank the people that are over there who have done all the work. It takes a lot of time and effort and thoroughness to make sure that we do hiring the right way and get good people to serve our kids. So thanks, all you folks out there. And I think I mentioned in May and in June, this is a really competitive job market, and if you follow educational news around the country, you've heard of course, it's teacher shortages, staff shortages, and that's the way it is in a lot of industries. But it affects us as well. So we did not quite get to 100% staff at this point, but we're pretty close, and I think we're in a good position. But I wanted to let you know where we haven't filled spots, and we'll continue to work on that. We had paraeducator openings just about covered, but we're two paras short, so we're almost there, and that's been that's a pretty good success story considering the shortages that we've had in the last 3 years. Stafford has a counselor spot open. Northeast has a special educator position open. RMS has a math interventionist opening. RIS has a special educator. And RIS also has 2 classroom teacher openings that we're working to cover through using our interventionists to cover those classrooms. So we're not in too bad of a position, but we're not fully staffed as we would have hoped. But we're going to manage the coverage, and that happens from time to time where we have somebody out for illness or for a long-term leave. We can manage that. We're in a pretty good place, but we're going to keep posting these positions and see if we can fill them as the year goes on.
Just had a question on that. What about the substitute or guest teachers? Where are you with that?
Do you have a sense of how, I've seen people come in once in a while to
We're
apply.
interviewing a few more. We would love to have more. We advertise frequently, and we increased the pay rate toward the end of the year last year in an effort to get more people in.
What is the pay rate now?
We get, if you, across the board now, it was $120 a day, now it's $135 a day. That's where we're at the moment. Somebody sent me an analysis of how you pay guest teachers around the region. We pay better than anybody in this region. Not by a lot.
And is that through the school itself or through that hiring? It's directly to the school, correct? Or to the administration here?
We centralize that hiring, and all people have to be fingerprinted, background checked, sign all the paperwork, so there is a little bit of a process there.
Right, but it is here that they file out their paperwork. I know some schools have used a hiring service or...
Kelly service.
Yes.
A lot have moved back away from that.
Okay.
But I know maybe 1 or 2 still do.
Okay. Thank you.
It's a great question.
I'll move on to my next topic. We are starting our strategic planning process next month, and I just wanted to remind the board about that. If you remember, we worked with the organization, the national organization called Tell for Kids, and our consultant who worked with us, Beth Silvera, will be back with us again. So she's going to lead us through that process. She did an excellent job last time. Everybody had good reviews for Beth. And Patel has been really well organized, very thorough, and they created a great product. So they'll lead us through this next step. We will have 3, it's the same system as we did last time. We have what's called a design team. That's a larger group of people that represent the community, and we would love for all of you to be there. It would be really helpful for all of you to be there. So the meetings for that are all going to be at Rutland High School in the theater. And Stephanie, I will send out a list of dates, but I'll just tell you now just to make sure I get it. September 20th is the first one. That's a Wednesday. September 20th. Then the next month, October 19th, which is a Thursday. And then the last one is December 13th, Wednesday, December 13th. So those are 4 p.m. to around 6 p.m. Sometimes they're a little bit longer at the high school theater. Okay, so what we'll be doing there is really setting the course for the district for the next few years. So it would be really important to have the board there. But we'll also have parents and students and community members and staff members. So it would be a great collection like we had last time. So part of that process, we built the Portrait of a Graduate last year, and I've heard Portrait of a Graduate mentioned a few different times. It's becoming a part of what our culture is. That's the vision for our district. That's what we want our students to become. That's what we want this competencies that we want our students to have. So part of what we say when we are building this Portrait of a Graduate is we want all students to have those skills. All students should be able to gain those competencies. And so we want to make sure we're truly doing that. So last spring as well, we did an equity review. And our question is, are we making sure that all students get there? So that's part of, this is going to feed into what we do in the fall with the strategic plan. We're trying to consider, are all our students getting to where we hope they will get? And if not, we have to consider what are we going to do about that. So we did that equity review, and I have just a real short update. I wanted to try to take some pieces of that, what the report that was given to us, to explain to you, and we're going to share it with the community. I'll do a little bit tonight, and then I think next board meeting we'll do a little bit more. So you'll get pieces and get a picture of it. Okay, so I'm going to go over some of the findings. Ultimately, what we're trying to do is use this information to form how we develop our strategy for our strategic plan. So I'll go through this if you don't mind. And this is not my normal thing when we're doing this superintendent reports. Like there, I get to press a button. This is what our goal is, right? We said this is what our students should become by the end of our 13 years with us. And those are the skills that we said we wanted them to have, and those are the skills that we said would prepare them for what they'll face in the job market or in society after high school. So we're working to make sure all students get there. The process for this equity review then was that we did some perception surveys with our students, with our staff members, and with our families. We sent out 3 sets of surveys, and we had pretty good participation. I think we had, I might get this not quite right, 40% with staff, 42% with students, somewhere around there. I think those numbers are accurate. And then I don't have a percentage for parents because it's hard to judge. We did this anonymously, so I don't know which parents filled out the survey and whether we had 2 parents from a household or whatever. So we'll just say that we had about 250 parents complete the survey. So that was good participation. We also had, on an evening in May, a community forum where we brought people together to think about some of this and kind of plan forward where we want to go. And then we've also looked at data we're looking at behavior data, student outcomes, academic outcomes, and trying to get attendance data, things like that, to try to get a sense of, are there groups of students who might not be getting what we want them to get. That was the process. So initially, when we first came into this community forum, the question was, here's a whole set of things we should be working on, the typical things that you work on in schools. And they were over on that right-hand side. These are the question was posed to us as individuals. What do you think are the most important things we should be working on? They said pick 3. And you can see by the size of the graphic, the things that were most chosen, and I put it over here in numbers, were that most people felt student well-being was a really important thing to be working on, by far. Right? You see 24 people voted for that. And then issues in education connected to poverty and non-poverty. Okay? If poverty is affecting kids accessing education, that's another topic that folks in that group thought we should be working. We had a 3rd place, kind of a tie there, I guess. That's where the 3rd place numbers came in. People were interested in academic progress, issues around race and culture, and issues around student discipline. So that's when individuals came into the meeting, that was their first impulse. This is what they thought we should be focusing on. And then we took sentences that represented concepts, and we said, what would be the most important thing we should do? Or I guess they called it most urgent. What should be the thing that we do first, and what is the most complex thing we should be working on? Okay, so there were a number of different choices, and the number one choice for due first and most urgent was that we should be working towards all students feeling safe in the school setting to this extent that they desire to attend and engage. That was what the group felt was most important. And the second most important and most urgent also became the most complex goal, that the school district treats all members of the community with dignity and respect, regardless of their personal background. So we all thought that was a challenging goal and came in second to the first one. But those are the two top vote getters. We said, okay, that's where we seem to want to go. So we did that, and then we also looked at some data, and we looked at some of the perception data from the surveys. And I hope you can see this from far away. I'll read it if it's not quite visible. I think it's easy to understand if you look at the red, that was percent in disagreement, and the blue is percent in agreement. And we had a number of different questions in the survey. I think we had about 12 different questions, 11 different questions. And the way we framed it to kids, we tried to simplify the question a little bit because we had pretty young kids taking that survey. And then we had a little bit more complex sentence for the adults, for the staff, and for the family members. So, simple question to students. My school is a safe place to learn. My school is a safe place to learn. And then for the adults, a little bit more of a complex sentence. All students feel safe in the school setting to the extent that they desire to attend and engage. So maybe a little shade different meaning, but basically mean the same thing. And we had this neutral category that people could choose. And we kind of wondered about that after the fact, because when we got some feedback from some parents said, I don't know if all students feel safe in the classroom. I'm not really sure. So sometimes we thought afterwards we should have possibly put a neutral choice and a I don't know choice. So that neutral area covers a lot of different choices. Anyway, that's my context for this. But if you look at the outcome on this, you can see 9% of the kids were in disagreement with that sentence. My school is a safe place to learn. 61% were in agreement. It's a pretty good outcome, I think. It looks pretty good. I don't know where the neutrals feel what exactly they were thinking about, but we had that as an outcome. It was interesting to see that parents and the staff didn't feel the same way. If you look at the red, for instance, they pretty much align with the disagreement part. And so we were a little bit perplexed about that. We thought the kids who are right there in the ground level trying to be in a school setting, they feel one way about this question, and parents and staff feel differently about the kids. So it's kind of an interesting discrepancy. And I'm not making judgments about it, I'm just saying, we're just trying to point it out. So we looked at another question, and the other question in the simplest form is, for the students, we said, this school treats all members of the school community with respect. We asked that to the kids. And for the parents and staff, a little bit more complex sentence, this school treats all members of the community with dignity and respect, regardless of their personal background. So kind of an extension there. So we're looking at this outcome, and if you look at the red, the whole staff and the students are pretty much aligned. That's pretty close as far as the disagreement goes with the sentence. And then if you look at the blue, a lot of staff say, yeah, the school does do this. Fewer students say that, which is interesting. And then the parents are kind of the furthest away from agreement with this. So that was interesting. We wondered, why are parents feeling that way? Okay, it's a question about how kids are being treated, but parents didn't quite feel the same way as the kids did, really. And then another question was, in the simplest form, the rules and expectations for student behavior are the same for all students. Rules and expectations for student behavior are the same for all students. For the adults, we asked, the standards for student behavior and appearance are non-discriminatory. A little bit of a different sentence. And then if you look at the red again, staff this time, not so much in disagreement. They go back to the blue and the staff, they agreed with that sentence. And then kids a little bit less so, and parents a little bit less so, even more so. So again, it seems, in this one, staff feel like, yeah, it seems like it's going well. Kids maybe not quite as much agreement, and then parents even less so. So those are topics that we need to consider, and as we go forward, especially when we get into the strategic planning process, we want to say, okay, let's look at those outcomes and think about what that says about either what we're doing in school, or maybe how people are perceiving school from the outside, or how we're communicating the way things are going.
Yeah, Courtney.
Is this something you're going to measure over time? Like every year you're going to do it to reevaluate?
Yeah, we could, and I think a lot of our schools have similar surveys like this, and they are doing that over time. Every year, we were looking at that.
I'd be curious if it was like a 1 to 10 or 1 to 5 scale. That way you could measure, like, is it improving
Yeah.
more specifically than just yes or no?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think RIS has done a lot of good work with that, and Karen saw some of that work last year. Kathy came in this year to take a look at it. It's really interesting. And so, yeah, they're trying to, I think RIS is up to 3 years you've done this in a row, and you can see some growth or some change, or I should say some change over time. And then the last slide I have is, we came in as individuals into that meeting, and then we arranged ourselves into teams, or groups, I should say, and we tried to come to what should we really be focusing on as we go towards strategic planning. So we did kind of a consensus exercise, and there were eight groups or 8 teams that had to pick from the menu again, and pretty much unanimously, the team said, well, we should be focusing on student well-being. All eight groups thought that was the main focus. And 7 of the 8 said our next important focus should be how poverty and non-poverty issues are affecting education, or access to education. So that's the quick summary of the stuff that we did over the spring and the report that we got. I'd like to continue on with, I think next meeting, if we could show a few more slides to give you the community an understanding of what we're seeing. And then we'll use that as we go into the strategic planning process on September 20th. I have just one more piece on superintendent's report, but I don't know if anybody else has anything.
Any questions on that? Student representatives, any questions?
My last piece is, I just want to remind folks, we're still doing PCB testing, and we did that last spring with Northeast, and we had an all clear, a really good report on that. Our next school is RMS. I think we've talked about this already, and we're just waiting. We haven't gotten a date for that. I think they've done the prep work to understand how the building's laid out and how they want it, which rooms they're going to test. They try to take a representative sample, but I don't think we have a date for that testing yet. So we'll let you know when that happens, and then we'll send a letter to the community, the RMS community, that will give people a heads up on that. And that's it for me.
Any questions for Superintendent Olson? Yeah, Stephanie?
What were the 2 teachers that we're still needing for what subject, or is it at, I don't remember what school?
Oh, that we're missing?
Yeah.
Sorry.
RIS, I think.
Yeah, RIS has 2 openings that we're covering with our interventionists instead.
What are the teachers though? Like what, or is it?
Classroom.
Classroom teachers, yeah.
Is it a certain grade? Is it?
Top of my head, I can't remember. Carrie, do you know how did you rearrange the coverage?
So we took the two of our interventionists and we put one in 5th grade and one in 4th grade.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Kefeber.
So we had, that's not what I'm looking for. Nope, it's the next one. There it is. So we had a policy committee meeting on June 20th that was pretty much focused on two policies that the state told us we needed to develop by July 1st. So one was access control and visitor management, and the other was fire and emergency preparedness drills. And we took the model policies that VSBA gave us and we tweaked them a little bit, and that was in June, so I don't remember a whole lot of the details about it, but we did come up with workable policies that were pretty closely related to what the state had recommended. I would imagine that once we go through a little more real-life experience, we'll probably have to tweak these again, but they're out there for first reading. So if you want to look those over, give me any feedback. Any questions?
I'm going to move them into second reading.
Yeah? Do I need to make the motion for that? Is that right?
We need to ask for, yes.
Okay, can we have a motion for that?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
All
I
in
think we were a
favor?
little less sloppy, less detail-oriented in the past, so I'm glad we're doing this. Good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. These policies will go into second reading. Moving into unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business? No? New business includes the draft of the school board meeting calendar from now through June. And can I have a motion to accept it for discussion?
I would move to accept the proposed school board meeting schedule for 2023-24 for discussion.
Seconded.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I have a question too. Oh, did you say? I
Yeah.
have a question.
Yeah, so, I'll just say, this is just a general skeleton, and there's things that we have to do every year. And especially when you think about the budget process, we kind of go through a step-by-step process in that. And we do try to make sure we're highlighting different programs or schools in the district, and there will always be things that we add to. So it might be a topic that comes up, and we'll add it as we go along. So, sorry.
That answers my question.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. And thank you for doing this. This is really helpful.
Yeah, very helpful.
Coming up. So may I have a motion to pass this?
Motion to pass.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And passes. Thank you. We have an executive session scheduled, so Mary Beth, if you'd read that.
I move that the Rutland Public School Board enter into an executive session to hear a grievance brought under the AFSCME contract pursuant to Section 701 of the AFSCME contract, which requires that the board, to enter into an executive session to hear a Step 4 grievance, and that the grievant and her union representatives, as well as Superintendent Bill Olson, Director of Buildings and Transportation Glenn Scott, and the board's legal counsel William Mube of Mube Associates PLC also attend the executive session. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Can I also have a motion to take a 10-minute?
Yes, so moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. 10 minutes.
Thank you all for coming.
7 o'clock.